Oh, why am I frozen? There we go. Like, why am I frozen? Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Story Saturday. Why is it saying my connection is bad? There we go. Can everybody hear me? What is going on? Okay. Not sure what's going on. If you guys can hear me or not. I keep going back between excellent and bad on my Wi-Fi, which I don't know why, because the box is literally right in the next room. So hello. I don't have the bubbles at the screen either, so I have no idea if people are here or not. So hi. If people are here, hello. Hi. Okay, good. Catherine, you hear me loud and clear. All right, awesome. Hello, hello, everyone. We're going to give it a few minutes to get people, let people gather in the room before we start with the reading. Hopefully my voice holds out. I have not been feeling the best this week, so I will do my best. I've got my water here with me. Actually, I think the cat wants out. So maybe I will do that so we don't have screaming like we did last time during the reading. All right, give me 1 second, everybody. You want to go out? In or out? Okay. All right. Here we are. Caitlin, hello. You enjoyed her last time? I don't know. I still haven't gotten the audio approved because I am recording this. And I uploaded it last Saturday and I'm still waiting for it to be approved on here. So I don't know if it's because it's so long, that's why it's taking so long, or what. But hopefully the background, her in the background and everything like that. I know they've gotten very particular, as they should, with the quality of tracks and things like that. But I'm hoping where this is a replay from a live, they would let it go. I also was hoping that it would have been uploaded so that people, if they weren't able to make last week, would have been able to watch it. But that has not occurred. So can only do so much, right? We can only do so much. So I am recording this one as well, that I will upload as an audio only track on here. And then if you don't follow me already, you can follow me. Go to my about section. If you go to my website, it'll give you more information about accessing the replay. All right, so where are we at? Okay, so we're going to give it a couple more minutes because I did have a lot of people RSVP for this, just so that they don't pop in right when we're reading. I hope so. And this one too. I'm not going to be able to stay too long. Going to mow at your son's, Catherine. Okay, yeah. We're not allowed to say things. We're not allowed to say things about off the app. It is available in its full version. If you go to my website, you'll be able to find that. And then the audio only version will be available for free on here on Insight Timer whenever they get it approved. So excuse me. Hi, Carolyn. Greetings from North Carolina. Yes, Catherine. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm using Z on my phone to record it, and then it like instantly saves it. So I was able to immediately put it there, and then immediately uploaded the audio only as a track into Insight Timer here. So it's there now, and then it will eventually, hopefully, if it gets approved, it will be here on Insight Timer as well with the audio only. So Carolyn from North Carolina. I used to live in North Carolina. I used to live in Raleigh, is where I started. And then I lived in Southern Pines because my ex was in the Army and I refused to live in Vietnam. So that was our compromise, is we lived in Southern Pines. Oh, goodness. All right. All right, everybody, just a couple more minutes and then I'll get started with the reading. We're getting into the meat of it now. This chapter is, we're going to start learning the actual agreements. And the first one is a pretty potent one that sounds super easy, but is not, which he is going to explain. And then we can have a discussion about it afterwards. So, all right, I feel like, all right, we're up to about 20. All right, I think one of your favorite books. Yeah, it's a good one. I read it so long ago. And then, like, for those that were here last week, as I said last week, John, why do I always want to mispronounce his last name? Because I'm so used to just calling him John or G. John Steen, another teacher on here, has challenged all of us with a commitment to love and what that means for us. And for me, when I sat with it, it's going back to the basics, right? To us, to ourselves, who we are, how we live our lives. Are you leading your life with love? Do you love yourself? Are you giving love to others? And I couldn't think of a better book to start with than this. My Isha, who is another teacher on here, is doing this as well, but she's doing it with his still Don Miguel Ruiz book, but she's doing the mastery of love. So a lot of us are kind of answering the call of John and really tapping more into this love frequency and what we need desperately right now in this world, instead of the fear-based place. And then Violet 108, who hosts the Ask Your Guides with Alejandro, that's what she was saying. She's spending the weekend with her grandchildren, but she was like, oh, it's one of my favorite books. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss it. So it is. So we're doing the 4 agreements, each one chapter a week. I will read it, then we'll have a little discussion about it. And like I've said, if these go well, I would like to continue them. The next book I would like to do is Rick Hansen, Just One Thing. It lends itself very well to this format because some books don't, because some books, could have like 40 pages in a chapter, or they're 400-page books and things like that. So that book is really helpful as well. I feel like, and gives really practical tips that you can literally write down while you're listening and start doing right away. So that's my plan. All right, everybody, I am going to go ahead and get started with the reading. So again, we're reading 4 agreements. This week we are on chapter 2, and it is the first agreement: be impeccable with your word. I apologize if I have to pause to drink water, but again, I'm still managing allergies and whatever else this is. All right. All right, the first agreement: be impeccable with your word. The first agreement is the most important one, and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds very simple, but it is very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God or whoever you believe in. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God." Through the Word, you express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you are will all be manifested through the word. The word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. You can speak. What other animal on the planet can speak? The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dreams, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth. Depending upon how it is used, the word can set you free or it can enslave you even more than you know. All the magic you possess is based on your word. Your word is pure magic, and misuse of your word is black magic. The word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. Some years ago, one man in Germany, by the use of the word, manipulated a whole country of the most intelligent people. He led them into a world war with just the power of his word. He convinced others to commit the most atrocious acts of violence. He activated people's fear with the word. And like a big explosion, there was killing and war all around the world. All over the world, humans destroyed other humans because they were afraid of each other. Hitler's word, based on fear generated beliefs and agreements, will be remembered for centuries. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. The seeds are opinions, ideas, and concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. The word is like a seed, and the human mind is so fertile. The only problem is that too often it is fertile for the seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only for those kinds of seeds it is prepared for. What is important is to see which kind of seeds our mind is fertile for and to prepare it to receive the seeds of love. Take the example of Hitler. He sent out all those seeds of fear, and they grew very strong and beautifully achieved massive destruction. Seeing the awesome power of the word, we must understand what power comes out of our mouths. One fear or doubt planted in our mind can create an endless drama of events. One word is like a spell, and humans use the word like black magicians, thoughtlessly putting spells on each other. Every human is a magician, and we can either put a spell on someone with our word, or we can release someone from a spell. We cast spells all the time with our opinions. As example, I see a friend and give him an opinion that just popped into my mind. I say, I see that kind of color in your face in people who are going to get cancer. If he listens to the word and if he agrees, he will have cancer in less than a year. That is the power of the word. During our domestication, our parents and siblings gave their opinions about us without even thinking. We believed these opinions and we lived in fear over these opinions, like not being good at swimming or sports or writing. Someone gives an opinion and says, "Look, this girl is ugly." The girl listens. She believes she is ugly and grows up with the idea that she is ugly. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is. As long as she has that agreement, she will believe that she is ugly. That is the spell she is under. By hooking our attention, the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or for worse. Another example, you may believe you are stupid, and you may have believed this for as long as you can remember. This agreement can be very tricky, causing you to do a lot of things just to ensure that you are stupid. You may do something and think to yourself, I wish I were smart, but I must be stupid or I wouldn't have done that. The mind goes in hundreds of different directions, and we could spend days getting hooked by just that one belief in our own stupidity. Then one day someone hooks your attention and using the word lets you know that you are not stupid. You believe what the person says and make a new agreement. As a result, you no longer feel or act stupid. A whole spell is broken just by the power of the word. Conversely, if you believe you are stupid and someone hooks your attention and says, yes, you are really the most stupid person I have ever met, the agreement will be reinforced and become even stronger. Now, let us see what the word impeccability means. Impeccability means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. The M in impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religions talk about sin and sinners, but let's understand what it really means to sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Everything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything. Being without sin is exactly the opposite. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self rejection is the biggest sin that you can commit. In religious terms, self reflection is a mortal sin, which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life. Being impeccable with your word is not using the word against yourself. If I see you in the street and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the word against you. But really, I'm using my word against myself because you're going to hate me for this. And your hating me is not good for me. Therefore, if I get angry and with my word send all that emotional poison to you, I'm using the word against myself. If I love myself, I will express that love in my interactions with you. And then I am being impeccable with the word because the action will produce a like reaction. If I love you, then you will love me. If I insult you, you will insult me. If I have gratitude for you, you will have gratitude for me. If I'm selfish with you, you will be selfish with me. If I use the word to put a spell on you, you are going to put a spell on me. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your word, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because we have learned to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others, and more importantly, with ourselves. We are not impeccable with the word. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to cuss, to blame, to find guilt, to destroy. Of course, we also use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly, we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, hate. The word is pure magic and the most powerful gift we have as humans, and we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge. We create chaos in the world. We use the word to create hate between different races, between different people, between families, between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and perpetuate the dream of hell. Misuse of the word is how we pull each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt. Because the word is the magic that humans possess, and misuse of the word is black magic. We are using black magic all the time without knowing that our word is magic at all. There was a woman, for example, who was intelligent and had a very good heart. She had a daughter whom she adored and loved very much. One night, she came home from a very bad day at work, tired, full of emotional tension, and with a terrible headache. She wanted peace and quiet, but her daughter was singing and jumping happily. The daughter was unaware of how her mother was feeling. She was in her own world, in her own dream. She felt so wonderful, and she was jumping and singing louder and louder, expressing her joy and her love. She was singing so loud that it made her mother's headache even worse, and at a certain moment, the mother lost control. Angrily, she looked at her beautiful little girl and said, "Shut up. You have an ugly voice. Can you just shut up?" The truth is that the mother's tolerance for any noise was non existent. It was not that the little girl's voice was ugly, but the daughter believed what her mother said, and in that moment, she made an agreement with herself. After that, she no longer sang because she believed her voice was ugly and would bother anyone who heard it. She became shy at school, and if she was asked to sing, she refused. Even speaking to others became difficult for her. Everything changed in that little girl because of this new agreement. She believed she must repress her emotions in order to be accepted and loved. Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement, and it becomes part of our belief system. This little girl grew up, and even though she had a beautiful voice, she never sang again. She developed a whole complex from one spell. This spell was cast upon her by the one who loved her the most, her own mother. Her mother didn't notice what she did with her word. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her daughter. She didn't know the power of her word, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did what her own mother, father, and others had done to her in many ways. They misused the word. How many times do we do this with our own children? We give them these types of opinions, and our children carry that black magic for years and years. People who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they do. That is why we must forgive them. They don't know what they do. Another example: you awake in the morning feeling very happy. You feel so wonderful. You stay 1 or 2 hours in front of the mirror, making yourself beautiful. Well, one of your best friends says, "What has happened to you? You look so ugly. Look at the dress you're wearing. You look ridiculous." That's it. That is enough to put you all the way down in hell. Maybe this girlfriend just told you this to hurt you, and she did. She gave you an opinion with all the power of her word and behind it. If you accept the opinion, it becomes an agreement now, and you put all your power into that opinion. The opinion becomes black magic. These types of spells are difficult to break. The only thing that can break a spell is to make a new agreement based on truth. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. On one side of the sword are the lies, which create black magic, and on the other side of the sword is the truth, which has the power to break the spell of black magic. Only the truth will set us free. Excuse me. Looking at everyday human interactions. Imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip. Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it is pure poison. We learned how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, openly giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they didn't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions. and we learn this as the normal way to communicate. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in human society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better to see someone else feel as badly as we do. There is an old expression that says misery loves company, and people who are suffering in hell don't want to be all alone. Fear and suffering are an important part of the dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down. Using the analogy of the human mind as a computer, gossip can be compared to a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of computer language written in the same language as all the other codes are written in, but with a harmful intent. This code is inserted into the programs of your computer when you least expect it, and most of the time without your awareness. After this code has been introduced, your computer doesn't work quite right, or it doesn't function at all because the code gets so mixed up with so many conflicting messages that it stops producing good results. Human gossip works exactly the same way. For example, you are beginning a new class with a new teacher and you have looked forward to it for a long time. On the first day of class, you run into someone who took the class before who tells you, "Oh, that instructor was such a pompous jerk. He didn't know what he was talking about and he was a pervert too, so watch out." You are immediately imprinted with the word and the emotional code the person had when saying this. But what you are not aware of is his or her motivation in telling you. The person could be angry for failing the class or simply making an assumption based on fears and prejudices. But because you have learned to ingest information like a child, some part of you believes the gossip and you go on to the class. As the teacher speaks, you feel the poison come up inside of you, and you don't realize you see the teacher through the eyes of the person who gave you that gossip. Then you start talking to other people in the class about this, and they start to see the teacher in the same way, as a jerk and a pervert. You really hate the class, and soon you decide to drop out. You blame the teacher, but it is gossip that is to blame. All of this mess can be caused by one little computer virus. One little piece of misinformation can break down communication between people, causing every person it touches to become infected and contagious to others. Imagine that every single time others gossip to you, they insert a computer virus into your mind, causing you to think a little less clearly every time. Then imagine that in an effort to clean up your own confusion and get some relief from the poison, you gossip and spread these viruses to someone else. Now imagine this pattern going on in a never ending chain between all the humans on Earth. The result is a world full of humans who can only read information through circuits that are clogged with a poisonous, contagious virus. Once again, the poisonous virus is what the Toltecs called the matote, the chaos of 1,000 different voices, all trying to talk at once in the mind. Even worse are the black magicians or computer hackers who intentionally spread the virus. Think back to a time when you or someone you know was angry with someone else and desired revenge. In order to seek revenge, you said something to or about that person with the intentions of spreading poison and making that person feel bad about him or herself. As children, we do this quite thoughtlessly. But as we grow older, we become much more calculated in our efforts to bring other people down. Then we lie to ourselves and say that person received a just punishment for their wrongdoing. When we see the world through a computer virus, it is easy to justify the cruelest behavior. What we don't see is that misuse of our word is putting us deeper into hell. For years, we have received the gossip and spells from the words of others, but also from the way we use our word with ourselves. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time we say things like, "Oh, I look fat. I look ugly. I'm getting old. I'm losing my hair. I'm stupid. I never understand anything. I'll never be good enough, and I'm never going to be perfect. Do you see how we use the word against ourselves? We must begin to understand what the word is and what the word does. If you understand the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, you begin to see all the changes that can happen in your life. Changes first in the way you deal with yourself, and later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. Consider how many times you have gossiped about the person you love the most to gain the support of others for your point of view. How many times have you hooked other people's attention and spread poison about your loved one in order to make your opinions right? Your opinion is nothing but your point of view. It is not necessarily true. Your opinion comes from your beliefs, your own ego, and your own dream. We create all this poison and spread it to others just so we can feel right about our own point of view. If we adopt the first agreement and become impeccable with our word, any emotional poison will eventually be cleaned from our mind and from our communication and our personal relationships, including with our pet dog or cat or fish. Impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile ground for that idea. When you become impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for words that come from black magic. Instead, it is fertile for the words that come from love. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self love. How much you love yourself and how you feel about yourself are directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word. When you are impeccable with your word, you feel good. You feel happy and at peace. You can transcend the dream of hell just by making the agreement to be impeccable with your word. Right now, I am planting that seed in your mind. Whether or not the seed grows depends upon how fertile your mind is for the seeds of love. It is up to you to make this agreement with yourself. I am impeccable with my word. Nurture this seed, and as it grows in your mind, it will generate more seeds of love to replace the seeds of fear. The first agreement will change the kind of seeds your mind is fertile for. Be impeccable with your word. This is the first agreement that you should make if you want to be free, if you want to be happy, if you want to transcend the level of existence that is hell. It is very powerful. Use the word in the correct way. Use the word to share your love. Use white magic, beginning with yourself. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. Use the word to break all those teeny tiny agreements that make you suffer. It is possible. It is possible because I did it, and I am no better than you. No, we are exactly the same. We have the same kind of brain, the same kind of bodies. We are humans. If I was able to break those agreements and create new ones, then you can do the same. If I can be impeccable with my word, why not you? Just this one agreement can change your whole life. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom, to huge success and abundance. It can take away all fear and transform it into joy and love. Just imagine what you can create with impeccability of your word. With the impeccability of the word, you can transcend the dream of fear and live a different life. You can live in heaven in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you are immune to that hell. You can attain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word. It's a lot, right? Said that last time too, but it is. All right. How are we feeling? How are we feeling about that? I feel like it's such a simple, simple thing, right? That is really, really hard to do for all the reasons that he just explained, right? We have so many seeds in our head. I mean, literally look at what is going on in the world right now. So much computer viruses, right? So much misinformation that has hacked our minds. And so much is coming from a fear based place right now. It is really easy to get caught up in it. You know, regardless of what's going on in the world right now, it's still really easy to get caught up in that, right? You know, our parents didn't intentionally do things to harm us, but I guarantee you, each one of us sitting in this room can remember things that our parents have said to us that we still carry with us to this day. I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, I'm not pretty enough, I have big ears, I have a big nose, I have too small of a nose, I can't sing. All the examples, right, that he was using in the book. And we have to, like we talked about last time in the introduction, we have to look at our agreements and what agreements do we have in our head? Where are they coming from? And do we agree with them? Or do we need to make new agreements? And it's what I said last time, and I'll say again. You know, a lot of people who come into therapy, because I'm a licensed mental health therapist, it's unlearning all the things that we've learned a lot of times, which in his language would be the agreements. It's challenging the agreements and forming our own agreements. And we can do it. We can. It's not easy, right? If it was easy, then we wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have killing. We wouldn't have all the things that are going on if it was easy. But it can be done with effort. And, you know, something else that I think is important to talk about is he's not talking about toxic positivity either. He's not saying pretend that everything is great. You know, he's not saying just ignore all the bad things going on or just ignore the feelings you have. We feel our feelings. Our feelings are valid. You're going to be angry sometimes. You're going to have fear sometimes. You're going to feel like crap sometimes. But it's what we do with that. And that's what's important, is not to latch on to that, right? And then spread our poison to somebody else. Okay, I'm having a terrible day. Excuse me. I'm having a terrible day. So somebody else is going to have a terrible day because I'm having a terrible day. So I'm going to tell off that clerk in line because they weren't moving fast enough swiping my items. And just be rude because I'm angry and I'm getting it out there. Well, that's spreading that poison, right? Instead, recognizing, okay, I'm really angry today for some reason. I need to sit with that. Where is that coming from? Because that's not me. I'm not an angry person all the time. So, like, is it valid? It's something I teach my clients with their thoughts. Is it's from acceptance and commitment therapy. Is recognize you're doing the thought, because a lot of times we get trapped in our brains, right? We're spiraling on that hamster wheel, and it's an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours later, right? And you're like, what have I just been doing? Creating whole scenarios in my head of things that probably aren't going to happen, right? It's recognizing that we're doing it, and then is it based on a fact, and is it helpful? Because if it's not based on a fact, if it's from a story, or if it's from an agreement that is not good for us and it's not helpful, let it go. I know that's easier said than done, right? I'm aware of that. But we got to let it go. So, and it's the same way with our language. It is so important, the language that we use. You know, and again, it's not saying that you can't ever get angry. It's, you know, we are human beings. We are going to go through things in life, right? We are going to have things happen to us where we very much can get angry, and it's okay to get angry. It's okay to feel our feelings, but feel the feelings, get the feelings out in whatever coping skill, grounding mechanism, whatever tool you have to feel the feelings and get the feelings out, so that we're then not projecting and we're not turning into the computer virus that is then going to go and infect every single other person that we see that day, right? um and you know, being a manifester as well, the language that we use is really important because that's what we're putting out. the words we use are what we're putting out to the universe, to our higher self, to spirit guides, to angels, to archangels, to source, to God, Allah, Gandhi, whatever you believe in. Those are the words that we're putting out. And those are so important because they listen and they give us what we ask for. So if you're focused just on just all of this bad, 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 right? That's kind of what comes back to us, right? And like I'll use an example of money because and this is a personal example. So like I have a job, and I'm making the most that I've ever made in my entire life, but I have a lot of debt. I have a lot of debt from school loans. I have a lot of debt from starting my business. I have a lot of debt. So like I live paycheck to paycheck, which I feel like a lot of us probably do. And I was getting caught up in that fear-based place of, oh my gosh, I don't have money, I should have more money and I'm in debt and I can't get these debts paid off and debt and all this stuff. And I was just like, okay, hold on. Like, yes, is that there? Yes, that is there. But by focusing on it, that's all I'm creating is I'm keeping myself trapped in that fear-based place and in that debt cycle. I'm well aware that it's there. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not pretending like it isn't there, but I'm not focusing on it. I'm focusing on abundance. I'm focusing on growth. I'm focusing on what I want to come into my life, and that will get taken care of, right? And it's funny because when I slip, I call it slipping, right? When I slip and I get pulled back into that place, and then I recognize it, and then I do what I need to do about it. I have a whole set of money beliefs that I say, and I'm like, okay, you need to do that again. You haven't been doing that every day like you used to. You need to do that again and say your beliefs because that's what we're putting out. And somebody will message me on my website and want to book a session or want to do this, or I'll get a new client will pop on the wait list and it's like something that I want to work with because I'm really selective about, I have a very specific niche that I work with as a mental health therapist. So like I won't take clients just to take clients, just to have clients, because I think that's a disservice to people. Not that I couldn't do it, and I could, but I know the areas that I thrive in as a therapist, and those are the type of clients that I want to work with. So instead of coming from a fear-based place and going, oh my gosh, I have all these openings in my schedule, let's just put people in it and fill. No, I was like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll all work out. And I fill my schedule because the right people get on the wait list. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that one and that one. Or people will contact my business and they'll be like, hey, I want a healing session, or I want a mentoring session, or I want a card reading. And when you start to see it actually happen, I think that is what helps change those agreements, right? Is when you start seeing it. There's another thing that I tell my clients. It's like with meta meditations, the I am meditations. I am strong, beautiful, powerful. When you first start doing that, a lot of times you don't believe it. And like fake it till you make it is literally what I tell everybody. And because it's true, the more that we listen to those things, the more we go from that's not true at all. I am not worthy of love, or I am not this, or I am not that, to just listening to it. Then to, well, maybe that one, but definitely not that one. Then we go to, well, maybe. And then we go to, well, why not? Why am I not? And eventually we get to, hopefully, I am worthy. I am these things. And it's the words, right? It's being impeccable with the words. So let me know how everybody is feeling about the information. Throw some hearts up if you're resonating. If anybody has any questions or comments or anything about from chapter one, I think there's, or not chapter one, sorry, from the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. Anything, any thoughts or reflections? It can definitely, it takes time. And I think when we first start really paying attention, it's really easy to beat ourselves up, right? It's really easy to be like, oh my gosh, I messed up, right? I messed up. I was negative today, or I cussed that person out. Okay. Forgiveness, right? Self compassion and forgiveness. We are humans, right? We are humans. It's okay. You recognized it, and then just pay attention, right? Pay attention to your words. I can easily get caught in it. When Mercury was just in retrograde, there for about a week, I was like, "Ooh, ooh, girl, like you got to calm down." You were just like, "Da, da, 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 da." And that is not me. It's not like just picking apart people. That's not me. It's not me. So paying attention to when you're doing it and kind of redirecting yourself, right? And the redirection always normally needs to go back to us, right? Go look in the mirror, right? What they say is that was not anybody else. That was me. Everybody else was just being everybody else. They weren't doing anything in particular. They weren't doing anything specifically to me. It was how I was taking it in because of something inside of myself. So I had to sit with myself and say, what is going on? Why do we want to bite everybody's head off? And like nothing has really changed. So, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's Mercury retrograde. Okay. And I was like, all right, anything else going on? Anything else that I'm kind of stuck on that I need to focus on and work on? So kind of looking at ourselves, right? And that is where we need to be, which is why I wanted to start this book series or story series with this book, because it comes from within. Everything comes from within. And learning these four agreements can be really, really powerful. And they take time to incorporate, and everybody's different. Some people can like, okay, cool. And they just start doing it. And they're like, all right, I'm just going to start paying attention to my words. Other people might struggle because they get stuck, right? They get stuck in their minds, trapped in their minds with their thoughts and their stories and their agreements and things like that. And it might take those people like that. It might take them a little longer, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. Every single person can do it if you want to do it, and just making the effort and trying to do it and having, support, along your journey. If you're trying this and you have a significant other or you have children, let them know what you're doing. Because if you are right one day, they can be like, hey, I notice you seem, a little on edge today. Is there something I can do to support you? I know we can laugh because that's not how most interactions go, but can tell I'm a therapist right there because I know nonviolent communication, which is an amazing book that really helps people communicate with their word so much better. It's so less aggressive, like aggressive. The way we talk a lot of times is very aggressive and very not threatening, but threatening, putting people on the defensive. So again, that's with our word though. We're still coming back to our words. So he's saying, pay attention to the words. Pay attention to the words that you're using about yourself first and foremost. And when you start using more kind, loving, nurturing, supportive words about yourself, then it's easier to do for other people. And it can be life changing. It really can. You have like the amount of weight and stress that has been lifted off of my shoulders by doing these agreements. And I'm not going to say a couple of them because they're getting ready to come up in the book. But then being a reformed people pleaser and setting boundaries, not really caring what other people think of me, and doing these four agreements, it really lifts so much stress and so much weight off of your shoulders. Because I know if I'm focused on my self work and I'm focused on love, and joy and happiness, that's what's going to radiate out of me towards others. So I'm not going to have to do the work as much, right? I'm not going to have to think about the words that I'm saying as much because I'm coming from a place of love. I'm coming from a place of nurturing. I'm coming from a place of support. So I think those, like I said, it can be life changing, absolutely life changing. So, all right, we got a quiet group today. Hopefully that's good. Everybody's making notes or ingesting it. All right. Kay says, I like his concept of black magic and how we can be more fertile in growing love. Yeah, absolutely. Because, like, look at the examples. Hey, Rosa. Rosa's throwing up some hearts. I mean, look at the examples, and he's right. We humans are built and hardwired with a negativity bias. We needed it when we were hunters and gatherers. We needed it for our survival. We needed it so we could find food and not become prey and do all the things that we had to do when we were hunters and gatherers. Our DNA is not evolved. Like, evolution has happened, right? Things change, but our DNA doesn't evolve as rapidly as viruses for some reason, which is weird. But we still have that DNA inside of us of our hunters and gatherers. You know, but now we don't need it necessarily for survival in the way that they did. So now I feel like it just runs amok and just creates things where there doesn't need to be things, right? Because it's there. It's like, use me for something. Well, I don't need you for something because I'm not having to go out and hunt to get food. I'm not sleeping outside or in a cave and I need my fight, flight, or freeze to be on it so that I'm not eaten by a bear in the middle of the night or something like that. I'm laying in a comfy bed, you know, in a house with locked doors and windows, but we still have that negativity bias. We focus, it's so much easier for our brains to focus on the negative than it is the positive. Like one of the therapy practice that I worked before where I am now, one of the questions in our intake was, tell me about your strengths. Tell me about your weaknesses. And you can probably, I hate it and we don't do it where I am now, but you can probably imagine how that went. The weaknesses, which I don't like that word. So, but the weaknesses part, people were like, blah, 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 flowing it right out, right? Flowing. And then the strengths, everybody, literally almost every single person would just sit there and be like, well, I don't know. Let me think about that. Huh, what are some of my strengths? What are, and literally I would have to coax it out of them and start throwing out examples. Well, are you creative at all? Can you paint or can you draw? Do you play music? Do you like music? Are you just, throwing things out there because we're so focused on the negative sometimes that we just downplay and forget about and don't nurture the seed of the things that are our strengths. Um, and I agree, Kay, that using, any way we can take a concept and make it relatable to us, do it. And I think he did that great, in that with the fertile and using it as the seeds, because that is what it's doing. You are planting the seeds of love and joy and happiness in your brain, and it's up to you. It's up to you how you water it. You can water it with more love and joy and happiness, or you can water it with hate and anger and fear and all the things. I can't watch certain things that I used to like on TV. I can't watch them anymore where I am on my intuitive journey. I can't do it because I can't take that energy. I can't take that energy in anymore. And I don't want to take that energy in. Like, one of my favorite actors is new movie. It's already come out in the UK, but it's getting ready to come out here in the US. And I want to see it so bad because I love him, but I can't. It's a movie about war. It's warfare, and it's supposedly fantastic and a great movie, but I can't watch stuff like that anymore. All of that intense energy and graphic killing scenes, I can't take that in anymore. It's too much because I've planted the seeds of love and nurturing support. I don't want to take in violence and anger and rage and fear and all the things. So it's a very tricky thing, and everybody's not like that. It's just me. Um, you know, Allison Potts is another teacher on here, and like she does whatever she does. And I was just like, well, I guess I need to work on protecting myself better then, because I was like, I can't watch that stuff anymore. I can't. Like, I don't watch reality TV. I know that's a lot of people's guilty pleasures is reality TV. I'm like, oh God, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm not saying I don't. I watch only like educational things because my God, I don't. I watch plenty of other things, but I'm very selective about the type of things that I watch and the type of energy that they are and the type of content that it is, and where it's coming from. Because you can tell how something was made if it was made just for profit or if it was like somebody's passion project, and it was made from a place of love. You can tell that. So it's important when we're on this journey, when we're being impeccable when we're learning and incorporating being impeccable with our word, to also watch the words we're allowing to come to us and the words we're allowing to be received into our brain and taken into our brain. So that is also very important as well. So, oh yeah, and I missed, yeah, the black magic. Yeah. Anytime you want to talk about magic, I'm all down. I'm down for that. But it's true. I mean, it is like we have this concept of magic, again, that has been spread by misinformation and fear-based place that like magic is bad, right? Witches are bad. And all these things are bad. They're bad. They're bad. And if you actually like look into it and read about it, they're really not. I mean, can people cast spells on you? Yeah, but they're not doing it for the right reasons then, because people who are is for healing and nurturing and connection to the earth and mother nature and all this stuff. But yeah, it is. It's like weaving. We have the power through our word to weave magic onto ourselves and onto others, right? We have, what a power that is. I mean, think about that. I don't have children, and it was a very conscious choice of mine that I did not want to have children, because there is no way in the world I wanted to be responsible for raising another human being, because I know how hard that is. And I know that things just like this, right? I mean, if I had a bad day and took it out on my kid, that could ruin my kid for the rest of their life. And again, I'm not doing it because I don't love my kid. I'm not doing it with malice. I'm not doing it to cause trauma. I'm not doing it to cause harm. But I wasn't at the place where I am now. Like, I feel like I could probably be a decent parent now, but I don't want to do that. That's not my path. It's such a responsibility. So kudos to all the people that have children, and are willing to do that. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, because they are little adults. They really are. I mean, they have their own personalities and opinions and things. And I mean, yeah, they are ingesting a lot from you, like he talked about in the first chapter. But especially the younger generations, man, they're coming in with more willingness to not just buy into the agreements that are in society. So it's definitely different for sure. But oh, all right, how are we doing? Last live went an hour and 44 minutes. I have no idea how we went that long, but I was like, I feel like today will probably not be that long, especially where I don't feel good either. And I feel my voice is going. So, did anybody have any questions? Anything else they wanted to share? I think like last week I had talked about a possible like reflection, like a journal question, reflection, thinking about your agreements. This week, it's pretty simple, right? I feel like it's pretty simple. It's just paying attention to your words, right? Paying attention to your words, paying attention to the words of people around you. If you're struggling with paying attention to your words, pay attention to the words of the people around you, because you will notice, you'll start to notice things, right? You'll start to notice like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how negative that person is all the time. Really? I'm like, God, I'm like, I don't want to talk to them anymore, because like all they do is complain about everything. Everything's negative. So just pay attention. Pay attention to the words that are coming out of your mouth or out of other people's mouths. Pay attention. And you're going to start to notice, who is being impeccable with their word and who is not being impeccable with their word. Rosa, really good to hear you speak today. Needed the message, although I joined late. Thank you. Jocelyn says, I am new here and regret not stumbling upon this live before now. Well, welcome to both of you. And I will tell both of you that this started last week. It's going to be this one will be a 7-week series, but if we keep this interest up, which it looks like we probably will with the amount of people in the room, I'm going to keep doing it with different books. We're doing obviously the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz today, or for the next 7 weeks, and then after that, I really want to work with Rick Hanson's book, Just One Thing, teaching us how to get a Buddha brain. He is a brilliant PhD. I'm like Allison Potts, the other teacher on here. We're brain geeks. I love neuroscience. I love learning about the brain. And the way that book is written is it really lends itself very well to this format. Now, however, these that we're doing, they are being recorded right now. So they are going to be uploaded as audio only tracks on Insight Timer. The one from last week, I had said at the beginning, I put it in for a review last Saturday. Right after I did the live, I put it in and I'm still waiting for it to be approved. So I know they do the best they can. But I know there's so many teachers on here and so many people uploading content. Unfortunately, it's taking a while for it's not just my tracks, but for my track to be approved. So the audio only recordings will be posted as long as they approve them on Insight Timer. But the full video and audio is available as well. If you don't follow me already and liked this, give me a follow. If you hit the 3 buttons above donate, it'll ask you if you want to be notified. So like anytime I post new lives or the meditations get approved, you'll get notified in your notifications. But if you go to my about section and go to my website, go all the way down to the bottom of my website, it'll show you how to access the replay as well. So the book, oh, what's the author's name? The PhD. Yeah, Rick Hanson. Yeah. So that is my plan, is to do that next. But for now, we are going to be doing, continuing with the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So that's what we're doing. So next week, we'll get into the 2nd agreement. And the thing that I love about these is the simplicity of it. Like, it's not rocket science, but they're so hard to do. They're so easy. And isn't that how everything is? They're so easy, but they're so hard to do. So, so next week we'll be reading chapter 3, the 2nd agreement. So yeah, every Saturday, we're going to do it Saturday at 4. We start at 4:33 in the afternoon. If everybody is consistently coming and the time needs to change or adjust, I'm open to that. I mean, I can't do it like super, super late, but I could do it. I'd be willing to adjust the time. But unfortunately, with my schedule, I can't do it any other day of the week. So I kind of need to do it this day, but I'm willing to adjust the times if I need to. This is my 2nd live that I do. I do another live on Wednesday nights called Wisdom Wednesday. That's at 7:44 p.m. And that I do an energy reading. I have channeled a card for the collective. I read that, and then I open the space up for individual card readings. We have grown, and I say we because it's not me, it's you, all of you that come in the space, and your energy is very important in the rooms. We've grown a wonderful community that comes each week of some amazing and supportive people, and they're pretty powerful. So I love doing those. I just started, this is week 2 of this. So I just started this. This is something new for me, but I really enjoy it. So do we have any homework? Yeah. Should we be reading the chapter before we discuss it on here? Honestly, you can do this however you want to do it. There's some people that have never read this before, and they're coming and just listening. There's other people who've bought the book and are reading it. There's other people who why did I just my ADHD brain, the train just went off the track. Hold on, hopefully it'll come back. There is no right or wrong way to do it, is my point. Is you can do whatever you'd like to do. If you want to get it and read it beforehand, you can. Then you're just listening to me read the chapter. Just you're able to just sit and listen to me read the chapter, and then you can see if you get different feelings, different reflections, different impressions from when you read it yourself versus hearing someone read it. No right or wrong way, whatever you want to do. As far as homework, last time I kind of gave very loosely like a journaling question, like to look at your agreements, and really look at your agreements, what they are, where they came from, and if they still work for you. So this time, my I guess homework would be start paying attention to your words. Are you being impeccable with your words? And if you're not, which most of us aren't all the time, right? Is paying more attention to the words that you speak and paying attention to other people and the words that they speak. Let's see. It's pretty remarkable because I read this book a long time ago and recently wanted to give it another read, but cannot find it for the life of me. So naturally, when I saw the title of this live, I was intrigued. Yeah, because it's old. It's from 1997, I think. It's been around for a while, but it stands up to the test of time and is still considered a groundbreaking work because 1997 is when this was published, because it's so simple, but it's so profound, and most of us aren't doing them. Most of us aren't when we read it. So I hadn't myself had not read it in a really long time. So I also was very excited to be reading it again with you guys, and taking it all back in again and seeing where the person that I am now versus the person I was the first time I read it, and seeing how different the material is and how different I am ingesting the material. It's night and day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Carolyn, you are welcome. I'm happy to do it. I enjoy it. I enjoy Insight Timer so much. I love this community. I was a user for like 5 or 6 years before I became a teacher, and it was life-changing for me. This app and the community aspect of it were just absolutely life-changing on my personal journey. So I'm very happy that I'm able to be a teacher on here and now flip it, right? Be on the other side. It's fun. I enjoy it. I love coming on here, and I love creating, or not creating, but I love coming together and all of us kind of creating the space of learning, healing, supporting, nurturing, whatever we need it to be, right? Marissa said this app changed her life. Yeah, I think it did a lot of people's. I got to share it with one of my clients this week because I share it probably with all of my clients if they're open and willing to even talk about meditation or guided meditation, which most of them are because energy attracts energy. But they had not heard of it. And I was like, oh, it was so fun because I got to they downloaded it and I was showing them all around the app and showing them all the different things. And it was like watching like a kid, experience something for the first time. I'm like, I remember how it felt when I first found this app. So, all right, everybody, I need to eat and I think lay down or something. So thank you for being here. Hopefully by next Saturday, I'm feeling better. Allergies are better because this has been a doozy, this allergy season. So like I said, Wednesday, 7:44 p.m., Wisdom Wednesday. Next Saturday will be the second agreement starting at 4:33 Eastern Standard Time. If you can't make it, the audio only will eventually be approved on here, or go to my website and you can find how to access the video and the audio. All right, everybody. Thank you, Carolyn. Me too. I hate allergies. I hate them. I didn't have them this bad when I lived in Florida. Probably because I was in the ocean all the time, because I am like a water child. And that was constantly, that salt water was constantly flushing my sinuses out. But here, I mean, I live by the beach, so I don't have an excuse, but the water temperature here is drastically different, right? Than in Florida. Florida, you can pretty much almost go in the water. Where I was, you could pretty much go in the water like 10 months out of the year. Here, it feels like the Arctic to me until about August. So, but all right, everyone. Hope you, if it's your night, I hope you have a good night. If it's your day, I hope you have a good rest of the day, and hope to see everybody either Wednesday night or next Saturday. Oh gosh, Jocelyn's in northern Canada. Yeah, that's real cold. Real cold. Real cold. All right, everybody, take care.